My name is Patricia McClellan Terrell. I write under the pen name PM Terrell, and I'd like to tell you today about a book that I just finished called The Forgotten Secret by Kathleen McGurl. Now, this is actually the second book that I've read by this author. The first one I absolutely loved, The Girl from Ballymore, and I have a review about that on my YouTube channel and also at my website at pmterrell.com under Inside the Stories. With The Forgotten Secret, it's about a woman named Claire who is approaching her 50th birthday, and she has spent half of her life married to a very narcissistic, self-centered man who has systematically cut her off from all of her friends and from all of the activities that don't center around him personally. So when Claire inherits an Irish house from an uncle in Ireland, she seizes the opportunity to move there. And the inheritance also includes a bit of a monetary inheritance in addition to the house. But the house holds secrets, including a stash of guns and weapons that are found under the floorboards in the barn, and a birth certificate and a communion medallion that have been hidden deep inside of an overstuffed armchair. And the medallion and the birth certificate belong to two different men. Well, I rooted for Claire. I cheered for her. I cried with her. I laughed with her. Breaking away from this man is not going to be easy for her, and she encounters a variety of challenges, including completely wrecking her car trying to avoid a cow on an old narrow Irish country road, and also the house has fallen into dramatic disrepair. But she makes friends in the village, and Claire shows a whole lot of spunk, a whole lot of determination and courage, and a willingness to learn and to move forward by herself. Well, in between Claire's chapters, we learn of a woman named Ellen who is connected to the house a century earlier during the Irish War for Independence. Ellen O'Brien lives with a crotchety father in a modest home. Her mother has passed away, but she's dating Jimmy Gallagher, who grew up in the home that Claire has now inherited. Jimmy is a young man that Ellen has known throughout her entire lifetime. They were best friends throughout school, and now that they're older, around 20 years old, they've become lovers as well as clandestine members of the underground Irish volunteers fighting for independence. Well, it is Jimmy, again, who grew up in this house that Claire has inherited, and it's both Jimmy's story and Ellen's story that rolls out throughout the book. The author, Kathleen McGurl, describes the countryside and the village so well that I could very easily picture myself there, both in 1920 and in the present day. I came to respect the danger that Ellen and Jimmy and other Irish volunteers were willingly undertaking in order to secure independence from Great Britain. It's a cause that would cost some their lives throughout the book. And when Ellen discovers that she is pregnant, yet she hasn't been able to marry Jimmy yet because he's on the run from the RIC and the Black and Tans, both British groups. I felt her anguish at being sent to one of the Magdalene laundries by her father. It's a convent that takes in unwed mothers and their infants. But in real life, the Magdalene laundries we know now as unsaintly prisons. So I felt her anguish at being there, and I rooted for her and her baby to survive that experience and to get out. We also see the contrast that women could accomplish, between 1920 and the present day. With Ellen O'Brien, she has very little control over her future. When her father puts her out and sends her to the Magdalene laundries, it requires her father to get her out of it, unless she manages to somehow escape from this prison. And in fact, a prison is even better, because at least at a prison you have an idea of when you'll be released. And with the Magdalene laundries, there is no release date. So Ellen is dependent on her father and dependent on trying to find Jimmy, which she can't very easily do, from this prison. And she also ends up depending on the kindness of strangers. That in contrast with Claire Farrell, who 100 years later is leaving a narcissistic husband because she, as a woman, has inherited land from her uncle, and she can file for divorce, and she can fight for her own independence, and she doesn't have to be chained to this narcissistic man her whole life. It's a tremendous contrast in the two centuries. Like all of Kathleen McGurl's books, there are multiple threads that seem unrelated at the time, but they all weave together into this seamless mosaic of love and war, of endings and new beginnings. So I highly recommend Kathleen McGurl's book, The Forgotten Secret. And please subscribe to my newsletter at my website, pmterrell.com, and also at YouTube, where I post other videos. I'm a very slow reader, so I post on average 1 review per month. And please follow me on Facebook and Twitter and my other social networks. My website again is pmterrell.com. Thanks for watching.